Hello there and welcome back to our Football Manager 2024 playthrough with Ipswich Town. This is on the 24-25 season update in the Premier League with newly promoted Ipswich Town. And the way it's going, newly promoted Ipswich Town could be very newly relegated back to the Championship. Today, I have built up the last few episodes to be massive episodes, but this more than any before is absolutely huge for our season. In today's games, we play the two teams that are with us in the relegation zone. We play against Wolves and we play against Bournemouth. It can't get any bigger than this. You can see that we're adrift at the bottom of the table. We're 3 points behind Bournemouth. We are 6 points behind Everton in 17th, albeit with a game in hand on them. If we can win both of today's games, then we start to grab the ball by the horns. But given that we've only won 1 out of the 16 games so far this year, I think that could be doubtful. We are on a streak of 7 defeats in a row. In fact, make that 8 defeats in a row in the Premier League. Since you were last with me for that close tie against Leicester at Portman Road, we were defeated by Aston Villa in the most gutting of circumstances. We stayed in the game in fairness, although Villa had a lot of the ball. It was a real stern defensive performance, and when Jack Taylor scored in the 77th minute, I thought, boom, we're in here. We shut up shop, went for a draw, and in the 93rd minute, Morgan Rogers went and scored for Villa. Absolutely gutted there. We then hosted Newcastle, and we led Newcastle, but similar to Manchester United, where we led at Old Trafford, I think that poked the bear, because Newcastle went 4-1 up. We tried to play with the 4-2-4 tactic that we used for the second half against Leicester, and that is what we're going to continue using today. You can see we had 14 shots, 4 of those on target. The Villa game away from home, not so much. We only had 4 shots there. But against Leicester, just as a reminder, we had 20 shots, 5 of those being on target. We can't defend anyway. When we played on that more defensive tactic, we conceded 3 against Arsenal, albeit going down to 10 men, 3 against Everton, 3 against Liverpool. So it's clear we can't defend, but I think we're closing ourselves in too much. We're giving ourselves too much to do in defence, and as a result not doing much in attack. You can see, apart from the Everton game, the only amount of goals we've scored is 1, and that's just not going to be enough to win Premier League matches. Now Wolves are in a similar predicament to us. We have scored 10 goals this season. Wolves are behind us with 9. Quite a way adrift at the bottom of the Premier League with that statistic. However, goals against us, ourselves, Bournemouth and Wolves are near the bottom as well. But Wolves added to that miserably in their last game against Bournemouth. Bournemouth went and beat them 5-1. Now that's great for us in knowing that the Wolves defence is shocking, but equally sure that they're going to come back with a vengeance today. Because after that 5-1 loss against Bournemouth, Gary O'Neill was sacked by Wolves. All 4 clubs at the bottom have pulled the trigger, albeit Everton haven't, but Crystal Palace have sacked Oliver Glasner, not appointing a successor just yet. Bournemouth have also sacked Andoni Iraola. Again, Tommy Hilfiger is an interim manager. It feels like with all these interim managers, it gives some massive chance to do something. So we play Wolves at the Molineux first, followed by Bournemouth at home at Portman Road. Again, looking at the Premier League, it still looks bleak for us down the bottom. I am a man out of ideas pretty well. And I think if we don't win either of today's 2 games, then it's going to be all over, and I think it could be all over for us in the job. The board are disappointed with our management of the team, and I wouldn't be surprised with the game against Wolves. I mean, they expect us to lose anyway, but it's a season-defining game. I think if we don't go and do something here, I wouldn't be surprised if we get the knock on the door with the whole board meeting due to a lack of confidence. So for today's game against Wolves, we're going to play with Muric at the back in goal. Johnson, Edmondson plays at centre-half because Tuanzebe has picked up a cold, believe it or not. Luke Wolfenden and Leif Davis play at the back, so the normal suspects apart from Edmondson. We've experimented a bit in midfield. We're going to bring Calvin Phillips back into the fold today alongside Jack Taylor. Sami Szmodic's a player who has been quite big for us this season, but apart from against Newcastle getting an assist, didn't really do a lot for us. So we're going to experiment with that midfield a bit, but leave him on the bench as an impact player. Liam Delap and Harness are on the wings. Again, we just haven't had... Nobody's really performed for us, so we're having to rotate and see if we can find players who can perform. Al-Hamadi was a player that we used last time, Ali Al-Hamadi against Leicester, and he managed to get an assist into Connor Chaplin. So we're going to continue that strike force up front and see what happens to us today. It's a risk, I accept that, but looking at the last 16 matches, that 4-5-1 formation has not worked for us. 5 changes for James Collins' first game in charge at the Molineux. They've changed from a 5-2-3 to a 4-3-3, so they're obviously trying to do something different. We're going to get the lads to get out there and show us what it takes. And let's see what happens. This could be our last match as Ipswich manager. We might not be here long after this. You can see Wolves, I think Wolves' team on paper is much stronger than ours, and James Collins trying to maybe do something that we're trying to do and play a little bit more attacking. Rather than having 5 at the back, they were playing 3 at the back with 2 defensive midfielders and 2 wing backs. So a very defensive setup. I think Wolves are thinking the same as us. In that we can't score, but we can't defend either. So surely when the two come together, there are going to be some goals in this match. But let's see what happens, shall we? I was playing an FM draft the other day, so it might be because I forgot to unwindow the game. It might be that there are some black bars at the top of the bottom of the screen. But if we do get to that second game, I will resolve that for that match. Good hoof out from Murich. Connor Chaplin on the ball then. Connor Chaplin still there into the box for Al-Hamadi. We have scored the first goal of the tie. That is Al-Hamadi's first goal of the season. And 7 minutes in, we are ahead here at the Molineux. But we can't be too happy-clappy at the moment because we took the lead at Fulham in our second game of the season. We took the lead at Old Trafford. We took the lead against Newcastle. Had we kept all those points, we would be probably 16th or 15th. But a great combination there from Connor Chaplin and Al-Hamadi to get something. Again, I'm not going to get too confident too soon. Matthias Cunha with the free kick into Traore, and I can't really see what's going on all that well here, to be honest, because of the camera angle. But we've got it away. We have got a counter-attack chance here. Connor Chaplin back to Phillips. Marcus Harness out wide. Can he make something with the ball here? Marcus Harness back to Leif Davis. Traore wins it. I thought that was going to be a highlight for Wolves. I was a bit disappointed. We're going to go back to balanced mentality because it seems like Wolves are getting back into the game from a possession perspective a little bit more. But crucially, have done absolutely nothing going forward. Bournemouth and Palace are playing each other today, so the schedulers have had an absolute dream with the relegation 6-pointers recently, so we'll keep an eye on the vents at the Vitality. But this is going well for us so far. Ben Johnson back to Calvin Phillips. Calvin Phillips into Al-Hamadi. Doesn't quite work. The Wolves defenders, through luck or judgment, we're not quite sure, do something there. We must have had a massive chance there because our XG has jumped up to 1.48. Maybe it was that chance we've just had. But Wolves have done absolutely nothing. They've had more possession. They've had 54% of the ball. They've had 2 shots at 0.03 XG. Cunha, though, is in the clear. Murich does well to turn it over the bar. That has been the problem for Wolves. And is the problem in real life, to be fair, that they do struggle to score goals. But they're not so leaky at the back as they are in this game. Conceding 5 against Bournemouth is awful. It is clear we haven't got the attacking quality because we had 20 shots against Leicester with only 1 goal to show for it. We've got an XG of 1.57, which almost screams to me. We should have scored 2, really. In terms of the player stats, Jose Sarr, again, he's only on a 6.6, so it wouldn't suggest that he's made only worldly saves to keep us out. But we've created loads. The whole analogy is, look, you can only beat who you are put up against. And that's what we're doing so far against Wolves. So I will take that most definitely. Let's try and get a second, really, to cement our grip on this tie at the Molineux. Wolves are going to have the fans behind us. Fabio Silva's come on, so I think we're going to be just okay. And that's probably the kiss of death. Because if you talk about somebody in Football Manager, then they tend to score. We are well in control of the match according to the pass map. Apart from that goal, it's been a fairly drab match, but a bit like the Southampton game that we won. I'm not all that bothered, but we're going to make a couple of changes. Harness is going to come off for Nathan Broadhead. Jack Taylor's going to come off. We're going to bring Sammy Schmodics on as a box-to-box midfielder. And I think we'll leave it at that for now. We don't want to make too many changes. Back to a balanced mentality. Just try and see where we are in this game. Wolves haven't offered anything at all. They've had most of the ball, but haven't offered anything at all. Could we be on our way to only our second bout of 3 points this year? Or are Wolves going to have something to say? Murich hoofs the ball out, goes straight back to Fabio Silva, but Calvin Phillips rather easily nicks the ball off him. Bournemouth 3-1 up at Palace, so that's crucial in that our relegation rivals also getting 3 points today. This would be a terrible day for Wolves if it ended like this. Maybe words got to the Molineux of that, and Wolves are going to turn up the style a bit. Connor Chaplin on the wing. He's been hounded, but Connor Chaplin just running past Santiago Bueno. Surely he can't beat him here. Schmodix still. Calvin Phillips! He only just missed. And that would have been a magnificent goal for Calvin Phillips to finally go, I'm here, boss. Took you a while, Calvin, but you've arrived. Liam Delap is tired, so we're going to bring Wes Burns on for him. I'm going to take a bit of a risk here. I'm going to bring Al Hamadi off, and I'm going to put an extra man... in fact, I'm going to put an extra man in defensive midfield and put Luongo there as a ball-winning midfielder. Go to a counter-attacking mentality. We don't want to drop off more. I think that's probably the wrong thing to do at this stage. But just give us a bit more security at the back. A couple of minutes to go. 6 minutes of added time. This is a highlight here I might just vomit out of anxiousness. I'll tell you what, this has been an awful game from the point of view of the neutral, but we have got 3 points on the board. It wasn't glamorous, but the stats don't lie. Connor Chaplin's not even in the middle, but you know what, it doesn't matter. All we needed was to score. An attack was the form of the day. That is only our second clean sheet of the year. Both games we've won have been scorelines of 1-0. But our defence played well today. Muric a 7.4, Johnson a 7, 7.1 for Wolfenden, 7.6 for Leif Davis, 7.6 for Calvin Phillips as well. Surely, that is going to give the lads a morale boost after that. We've got 3 points out of the game. Bournemouth have beaten Palace. Just look at that now. Look at how the complexion changes. That is huge. We've gone from being 6 points adrift to 3 points adrift. We're on 7, Wolves on 9, Bournemouth 10, Everton 10, Palace 12. All of a sudden, we're within 5 points of 16th place. And we've got Bournemouth at home next. Bournemouth on a winning run of 2 games at least. They beat Palace and Wolves. But with 1 win, can we make it like buses? We wait for 1 win, can we make it 2 in 2? This might be insanity, but we've gone for exactly the same lineup against Bournemouth. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We are at Portman Road today for a second of 2 massive matches to try and stay in the Premier League. Bournemouth did win their last game against Crystal Palace, so I think they are going to be a different kettle of fish than Wolves. But I feel like we've got to go in and make a statement that, look, we didn't just play like this because it was Wolves. Alright, Wolves didn't do much with their chances, but we performed well defensively, which tells me that, you know, we were a tighter unit at the back, and that does make sense to why we got a clean sheet. But Bournemouth are a better team up front, so I don't know. It might be that we're insane and we get absolutely peppered here at Portman Road. I only had 1 win here, of course, this season against Southampton. It is a huge clash at the bottom of the table. And to start with, we have had a fair amount of the ball. But here we go. Are Bournemouth going to take the lead? Here comes an early free kick from Ryan Christie. He's taken a long time to run up and take this. It's almost like, right, they're going to score here. Here's the hint. Good save from Muric. It's early days. Bournemouth have had more of the ball. We have conceded 4 fouls already, which concerns me. Ben Johnson gets the corner out from Antoine Semenyo. Christie back to Chris Mepham. Harness wins the ball. We are being a bit penned in here, and if we're not careful, we're going to concede a penalty. Ryan Christie, Wolfenden with the ball out. Al Hamadi to Rory Delap. Not Rory Delap, Liam Delap. We knew it was going to happen at some point. And that is the end of the highlight. But it feels like we are being penned in a little by Bournemouth. So I think it makes sense just to go on a cautious style of play. We have got a lot of our players in support mechanisms, which means they'll drop back and forth depending on the tactic and the mentality, which makes sense. Wow, the game has really come to us in that last 5 minutes because we only had 30% of the ball. That jumped up to 46%. But Bournemouth on the counter here. Max Aarons is absolutely lethal down the right-hand side. Lewis Cook to Brooks. David Brooks with the shot, and it's quite a tame effort, as it says in the commentary there. Only just lacked the finish. We are being dominated, particularly up front against Bournemouth here, and that is a bit of a concern. as to that we're not really creating anything. Okay, we only scored once against Wolves, but at least we had a lot of shots and a lot of chances. And I feel like that is going to be the first goal, albeit that has been ruled offside and did seem fractionally off from Antoine Semenyo. But let's see what comes of the VAR goal review. The goal has been disallowed, and maybe that's a bit of a warning to us. It's not quite working for us here. Bournemouth seem to have a lot more fluidity. We're going to change Calvin Phillips to be a ball-winning defender and see what comes of that. We're also going to change to full-backs just to come back slightly to give our defenders a bit of support. And I think we're going to change our defenders to no-nonsense players. See what comes of that. A bit more direct in the passing, slower tempo though. Don't run at the defence. And we're going to have Al Hamadi as attacking, just to give some structure to our team in all of the areas. Hopefully that helps us out a little bit tactically, and we have had a decent chunk of momentum there. And we're 40 minutes in. I don't want to speak too early, but although Bournemouth had by far the best of the first half and might be a warning for us, we have gone into half-time goalless. A very worrying performance according to XG. Just in terms of the latest scores, Everton behind, Crystal Palace are picking up a draw, Wolves are losing. So as it stands, it's pretty much as it was at the bottom of the table. We're going to say we're not creative enough, we're not positive enough, and hopefully those words are enough to persuade the team to do something. We've only had 2 shots here, which is disappointing given that we're playing that more attacking tactic, that we haven't really made anything with it. But equally, Bournemouth, apart from an early spell of having some shots on target and looking dangerous, haven't done all that much either. We are going to bring we're going to make a couple of changes, I think. Bring some new personnel in. Also, bearing in mind we are playing against Crystal Palace in 3 days' time on Boxing Day, so that is going to be key as well. We're going to bring Wes Burns on for, I was going to say Rory again, Liam Delap, and we're going to bring George Hurst isn't really sharp, is he? So we're going to bring Broadhead on for Al Hamadi, and we're going to play him as a deep line forward, see if that changes anything. And do we bring Sammy Schmodix on? We're going to bring Sammy Schmodix on for Jack Taylor, because Jack Taylor hasn't had the best of days so far. It's recommending us to play for set piece, that's what we are going to do. Leif Davies deals with that free kick comfortably, but can we get the ball forward? Sammy Schmodix passes it down the line to Marcus Harness, then to Broadhead. Broadhead to Wes Burns on the wing. Can we make something happen here? Burns into Broadhead. Broadhead shoots, and Mepham throws himself in front of the shot. We've had an attacking highlight, and although Bournemouth have had a lot of the ball, they've only had 1 or 2 attacking highlights, which screams to me that their chances haven't been that impressive. But equally, that chance wasn't that impressive because Neto got to the ball fairly easy there. 21 fouls for us. It has been a rough and tumble game today. Phillips into Sammy Schmodix. Schmodix back to Phillips. We're having more of the ball here. Burns, Schmodix, Edmondson, the last man you want the ball to fall to. The centre-half, George Edmondson. And that is how it ends over the bar. So, 2 games that have been a bit scrappy today. Just 10 minutes to go here at Portman Road. I think both sides would be gutted to lose. There's a tension in the air, no doubt, because both sides don't want to lose. Calvin Phillips is tired, but I'm going to keep him on because I feel like this is a massive result for us if we can get it here. We're going to bring Cameron Humphreys on at left wing because he's been quite impressive for us. And Cameron Burgess is going to come on for Edmondson at centre-half. So we've made all of our substitutions now. We can't make any more changes. We've got 5 minutes left here at Portman Road. Can we make something happen? Let's see. Davis. Just don't want to concede. That would be massive. Broadhead! I thought that Neto had got a finger to that then. It looks like it's going to end goalless for us. And we'll take that. We'll take that every day of the week. We keep Bournemouth only 3 points ahead of us. None of the sides around us have won either today. Everton have lost 3-1. Palace have lost 1-0. We've obviously made a draw with Bournemouth. And Wolves have lost 2-0. So, again, obviously we're still 3 points away from Bournemouth. But we are starting to get some points on the table. Just thinking, this episode we have got the same amount of points as we've got in the previous... Is it 16 games? Yeah, the previous 16 games. To tell you the truth, I can't believe how scrappy it is at the bottom. It just... overwhelms me that... we'll get to that in a minute. That could be a problem. It's unbelievable how there's so many clubs. I mean, Forest have got 2 games in hand, but to have this many clubs on this little amount of points at this stage, I really thought with only 8 points we'd be well out of it. But looking at the clubs around us, Palace are on a run of 3 defeats in a row. The changing of the manager's not done anything for that. Everton on a run of 4 defeats and a draw. Wolves on a run of 5 defeats. We've booked the trend in getting 2 results, but the board aren't happy. Now, interestingly, we have gone to back to being the board being satisfied with our management of the team. So this is all a little bit strange. Let's go to the meeting. We're disappointed with the result against Bournemouth and would like to know what happened. We were unlucky. Now, normally you walk out of these meetings with a points target, which was frightening me to heck, because if we look at the games coming ahead, that is a massive concern. But the chairman goes, fair enough, can't argue. If a bit more luck had gone your way, we wouldn't be having this meeting. So let's continue to work together. That is probably the best board meeting I've had when they're calling us in to discuss confidence. Unbelievable. We're going to make this a bumper episode today, so I'll be back in just a second for the Palace game. But we'll do some of the outro here in effect, because as I alluded to previously, it feels like January is a bit out the window for getting anything. Man City scrub off that home tie against West Ham in the Cup. Man City, Tottenham and Brighton away, you don't fancy those games. And then February is massive for us. So if we can get a win against Palace, I feel like we still do need a win against Palace. It was a decent result to get a draw against Bournemouth. You've got to remember that Bournemouth have beaten 2 relegation rivals fairly confidently in their last few games. So to keep them to a goalless draw after scoring 8 in their last 2 games, I don't think was a bad result at all. We now go to Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace have lost their last 3, 4 of the last 5. They're in poor form. Draws are keeping them afloat. They've only won the same amount of games as us. Going forward again, they're quite poor. Only the 4th most scoring team in the league. Defensively, they're quite leaky as well. Is that game at Selhurst Park? It is at Selhurst Park. Liam Delap's managed to get himself suspended by having too many yellow cards by the looks of it. So that's not ideal for him. But in this bumper episode today that I thought would potentially end with us getting the sack, so far we've got 4 points, kept 2 clean sheets, and we've reduced our arrears at the bottom of the table. All of a sudden, if we can beat Paddy McCarthy's Palace, who knows, is there going to be a manager in at that point? Knutson. Oh, okay. So it's going to be Kettle or Keatle Knutson taking the job. Personally, the logic was Sam Allardyce for me. But maybe not. Maybe not for them. So Knutson is going to be the man taking charge, but crucially that work permit is not going to be in until the 1st of January. So we're still going to be playing against Paddy McCarthy, which helps our cause, I would have thought. But I'll be back in just a second for the Palace tie. The games are coming thick and fast, and it generally did feel like just a literal second between the last game and this game. Only 3 days between them, and only 3 days between this one and the Fulham one. Such as the joys of Christmas in the Premier League. Leicester have just beaten Forest 2-0 in the early game. Forest had a game in hand, so just to give you a flavour of where we stand at the bottom. We're only 6 points off 15th place. We're a win off being out of the relegation zone, and I don't think any of the team around us are going to pick anything up today. If we go and beat Palace, Bournemouth are playing against Man City, that's a no-no. Everton are playing West Ham. West Ham have just sacked their manager, it's a possibility. And Wolves are playing Fulham. Wolves in abysmal form. So this is a match to really make hay in and take the benefit of. We've had to make a couple of changes just because of the small gap between games. Tuanza Bay is a welcome addition back into the squad. Not that Edmondson did a bad job. Sam Ishmodix is in for Jack Taylor. particularly that box-to-box midfielder position. You've got to have a lot of stamina around you, and Sammy Szmodics is in excellent match condition. Wes Burns and Nathan Broadhead, the players that started the season for us, are given a game out on the wing. But our two strikers, Al Hamadi and Connor Chaplin, are going to stay there for this match. Are we happy with that? We're definitely happy with that. 2 matches unbeaten. A couple of the players don't agree with today's team sheet, which worries me a little bit. Obviously, Liam Delap is a player who is got a suspension, so we've had to bring Wes Burns in for him. Palace have made 8 changes, so Paddy McCarthy not happy with something that's going on there. We're going to pump fist. I expect to win. I said at the start of the season that we had to be fair to the players, but equally just couldn't pussyfoot around the issue in games that we needed to win, and this is one of those games. We have to get at least a point here, but I'm going to target the win against Palace. Palace have been quite poor in the last few games. I think they've only scored 2 in the last 4 games, so Palace are a team struggling in front of goal. We still are, obviously. We've only scored 1 in the 2 games that we've played today. They reckon Palace will edge this one at home, but I seem to remember the pundits backing Wolves at the Molineux as well, and look how that went for them. And my iPad has gone off about 6 times in today's episode. I wish that I probably could do with just putting that on aeroplane mode and muting it. It wouldn't be a bad shout. We're playing in white today, which I think is the first time we've played like that this season. And look at that, we're on top. 70% of the ball here at Selhurst Park. Is this tactic, we have to give the tactics a little bit of time to play. Is this tactic finally start to work for us against our contemporaries? Or are we talking too soon and Palace are going to rain on our parade? Broadhead does win the ball back, but this is getting a little bit nervy. That one ain't going to be ruled out for offside. Ismail Sarr caps a wonderfully crafted Crystal Palace move. I have to agree with the commentary down the bottom. We dallied on the ball too much. We want to run it back a few times in that there, and Nathan Broadhead in particular gave Palace the opportunity. So that's disappointment to go behind here at Selhurst Park. Despite a period of early domination, Palace have brought themselves back into the game after that first 20 minutes. And maybe working the ball into the box might be to our advantage. Can we get one back before half-time? Szmodics, Broadhead, into Burns. Burns out wide to Ben Johnson, who's started to play really well recently. Johnson into Al Hamadi. The shot, I think, is against the post, but is this a chance for a Palace counter-attack? Are you down the wing? You've got to be winning that, whoever's there. You have got to be winning it. I think that is Sammy Szmodics. He's got to be winning that. It was a poor touch from the Palace man, are you? A big, what would you call it? A large touch. And, well, we should have got that back. That would have stopped all this faff of defending the corner. And one corner, heavy touch, that's the word I'm looking for. 2 corners now for Palace, and they're still putting the pressure on. A fantastic slide tackle from Axel to Anzabay. But I have to say, despite that early match momentum, this is a really good figure, really good stat, by the way, match momentum. You can feel how the match is going despite not watching all of the match. Our shooting's been awful, according to this. Show me something else in the second half, please, lads. It's not quite well for Al Hamadi after that first stint. So we're going to bring George Hurst on as a target forward. Let's try and hit some early crosses. A bit more direct in the pass. I think there's some tweaks to be made to this tactic, personally. We're going to go balanced after half-time. We said we wanted to go with full-backs just to push the defenders back a little bit, give us a bit more security. And maybe we might be changing one, if not both of the wingers, if we're not happy come the 60 or 65th minute. Palace have made 2 changes as well, so clearly not all is rosy there as well. It's telling us not to keep the early crosses on, but we've brought George Hurst on as a target man, so it makes logical sense to keep that in, at least for the moment. i.e. with another heavy touch, Tuanzebe hoofs the ball forward to Hurst. Chaplin can't quite win it, but we need to be better in midfield. We need to control the midfield. I'm not sure Wes Burns hoofing the ball up like that is the answer. Sammy Szmodics, Luke Wolfenden, loses the ball. All I've seen is us losing the ball today. I've not seen us hold possession for more than 5 or 6 seconds at a time. But I'm not going to change too much because we are in command here. We're going to pass into space, but crucially make the passing a little bit shorter. We've had 50% of the possession, so let's see how things roll for the next 10 minutes. We're going to go positive in our mentality. If we go and lose here, it's all a bit for naught, what we've done today. And I feel like we've, from a statistical point of view, been good enough to get a point. We've got to be winning those balls back. I don't want to be going two-footed in, but we've got to control the midfield. And we're being bullied a little bit in the way that, there you go, Broadhead, you've won the ball back, but no, it doesn't go to Palace. I take it all back. Burns, Schmodix through to her, shoots! First time he could have took another touch. But surely there's something coming here. Some of our players inevitably are absolutely knackered. So we're going to bring Leif Davies off, who's not had the best day for Jacob Greaves. Calvin Phillips is going to come off for Jack Taylor, who also always does a job off the bench. Bring him on as our box-to-box midfielder. And Marcus Harness is going to come on for Nathan Broadhead, which gives us the chance to make one more substitution before the end of the tie. 15 minutes to go. We've got to go attacking. We haven't really got much choice. We're going to be more direct in our play. A higher press. Let's see how things end. If we're not going to score here at Selhurst Park, we don't give ourselves much of a chance. Everton are winning 2-0 at Goodison, so they've turned on the style. Can we do anything? We've had 50% of the ball. XG seems to suggest Palace should win, but look at us against Leicester. Doesn't necessarily mean everything. Higher tempo, shoot on sight, distribute to the target forward. Higher press, step up more. Complete wing back on support. Schmodix as an advanced playmaker. In fact, we'll change those two. No, we'll keep it as it is. We have got a highlight straight away here. Burns, Schmodix, Johnson. Good man. But it comes to naught. Ben Johnson got the ball back, but the highlight's still going here. Henderson hoofs the ball out. We win the ball. Schmodix keeps it for now. Johnson. Wes Burns loses the ball. The amount of pressure this is going to put on our defence. Ball from Schmodix to Connor Chaplin. Is it onside? It's off. I didn't celebrate that because I just felt that it could be offside. VAR are checking it. It's been disallowed. But we are flirting with it. That's the most crucial thing. The ball is being hoofed up and down the pitch by both sides now, so the game has gone into a bit of insanity. It was a good finish from Connor Chaplin. A shame he couldn't do anything with it. Connor Chaplin has been fouled on the edge of the box. And it's going to be Sammy Schmodix, a player that's played well for us today. I've said throughout that he's not really made his potential here so far. Schmodix with a free kick. I thought that was going in. Corner. Taylor. Henderson. The goalkeeper's out here. The goalkeeper's out. They've not really made the most of it though. So we did well to come back and defend that. I don't think it's going to happen. Couple of minutes left and it's full time. Pants. Unlucky. It is scoring goals that's causing us a problem, and look at that. So Everton have won. Palace have won, obviously. Wolves got a draw against Fulham. Bournemouth lost, which is a bit of solace for us, but look at that. We're back to where we were. Because it was 4 and 9, wasn't it? I think we'd got 4 and Everton had got 9 at the start of the day. We're back to where we are. Or where we were, rather. We've played an attacking tactic today and only got 1 goal for our troubles. Sure, we haven't conceded nearly as many, but if you're going to score 1 in 3 matches, it's not good enough. I said this at the end of the last episode. We need support from the board in January. We haven't got a goal scorer. Connor Chaplin scored 4. And he's had a lot of game time, in fairness. We have got a couple of players who are wanted as a transfer. Leif Davis being one of them, so we've flirted with him going out. The board aren't going to give us any money. I'm going to try again. I'm going to ask the board. I've asked them about wage budget. Let's ask them to increase the transfer budget. Let's see what happens here. I'm just going to send my assistant. Roy Hodgson's the Wales manager in this game. I find that quite amusing. Despite him retiring again. Villa have put 3 past Brighton. We're going to get a new transfer budget. But yeah, we're not going to get told today. That's fortunate. But you can see, I mean, in September our balance was 14 million. We have made an absolute shed load this season. Surely the board see that the Premier League is a lucrative opportunity for us and give us the money to go and spend in January. If we haven't got the money to go and spend in January, then we're going to have to do some crafty things with the wage budget. Try and bring some players in on either on loan or free transfers to keep us up. It's going to be difficult. We got something today, but it just shows that even with those results, it's not going to be enough to keep us in the league. If you look at that 40 points, it's going to be 32 points from 19 games. We've only got 8 from these 19 games. I am starting to lose hope, admittedly. When are we going to come back? I'm conscious I don't want to come back for all of the same games because it starts to get a little bit bland. But unfortunately, because of the way that this is all set up, I think we probably do. I mean, I don't think you can see it at the bottom of the screen, so for benefit, I'm going to go this way. Those last 3 matches of the season are going to be massive for us. Those are exactly the same matches we've just played. Wow. When are we going to come back? I think we're going to do the January transfer window off camera. And then we'll see where we are at the end of January and come back. I know it's the same games again, but we're going to play against Forest at home this time and Brentford. If anything dramatic happens, then obviously we'll come back before that, i.e. if we get sacked. But I think we'll come back for Forest and Brentford after the January transfer window. Hopefully we've brought some players in. Gives me a couple of games off camera as well to try and sort things out rather than the pressure of being on camera as well. And hopefully come February we'll still be in it and not cut adrift at the bottom. But that was an interesting episode today. Just shows 3 games that we had potential to win. None of the sides in those games were particularly good. Crystal Palace only scoring 1, an XG of 1.44, nothing that was special. Bournemouth, an XG of 1.65, and Wolves with an XG of 0.88. So those sides didn't offer that much. We didn't offer that much either, and that is exactly why all those sides are down there. Playing against somebody like City and Tottenham, it is at Portman Road, so maybe we can get something there. But it is going to be a massive challenge. I said 10 points in the first 10 games. We're going to be lucky to get to 20 games in with 10 points. And if I'd have said that at the start of the season, I don't think I'd have gone through the trauma of playing these 20 games. But I am still enjoying myself. I feel like it's going to get difficult though, especially when Palace have got the new manager in and some money spent by some of these clubs in January. It feels like it could become a little bit unassailable at the bottom. But we'll be there till the end of this journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like down below and comment your thoughts below. And subscribe for regular Football Manager content every 3 days on the Ipswich save. This is Friday today, so I'll be back on Monday at 6 PM with the next episode. Thank you for your company, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye for now.